First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. As always, we appreciate you joining us. We are live streaming here from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom, as we do every weekday, starting around 1 p.m. and going throughout the afternoon, covering a wide range of topics. So just to like to remind everybody of that, you can always watch these after the fact as well. Right now, we're going to talk about something that you can do. If you're here in the Northwest, you could have the chance to go out and look for pika. Or maybe it's pikas. We're going to clarify that here in just a second. But we're talking about the Cascades Pika Watch, and the Oregon Zoo in particular is looking for people to come out and do some training with the organization. And yeah, it's all about pika. So let's go ahead and bring on our guest right now. We have Dr. Johanna Varner from Cascades Pika Watch. Hello. You know what? Let me clarify this really quick. Is it pika or pikas?
The plural is pikas.
Pikas. Okay, thank you. I should have done that beforehand, but well, let's just go back here to our other shot. I should have done that beforehand, but now that we did, we got that squared away. Thank you so much for being able to join us here today. I really appreciate it. And I guess to start off, could you tell us what are pikas?
Yeah, so pikas are small mammals. They're closely related to rabbits and hares, so they're in the lagomorph order, and they're about the size and shape of a russet potato. I have a little stuffed animal here. This is a little bit bigger than average, so think, sort of your average baked potato is about the right size of a pika. And they live in rock slides and boulder fields across western North America. In Oregon, you guys have pikas near the tree line and the timberline of big volcanoes like Mount Hood. And that's kind of their typical habitat across most of their range. We find them in those sort of tree line, high elevation habitats. But there's also a super special population that lives in the Columbia River Gorge. And that is really the focus of Cascades Pika Watch.
So this super specific kind, what makes them so much different than the other kinds of pikas?
Yeah, what makes them so different is that they're living basically near sea level. So the average, elevational range that we find pikas across most of their range is somewhere between about 6,000 feet when you're pretty far north, where you guys are. When you get down into Colorado, usually you don't find pikas below about 9,000 or 10,000 feet. But in the Columbia River Gorge is literally the lowest elevation that we find the species across the entire range.
Wow, so that is kind of a really special thing then of this particular population right here.
Right, yeah. And so we've been doing a lot of research trying to understand why they're able to live at such low elevation, and it seems like it's that there's some pretty special habitat there. There are a lot of places where the temperatures that they experience in the rocks are a lot lower than what we would expect even on Mount Hood. So if you, in the heat of summer, if you compare the temperatures that a pika is experiencing in the gorge versus a pika at timberline on Mount Hood, obviously for us walking around, it's going to be a lot cooler up at high elevation. But for the pikas, it's actually cooler at the low elevation site. So when they're down in those rocks, it's actually cooler and more stable than it is even at high elevation.
Well, when it comes to going out to look for them, so tell me about the goals here for Cascades Pika Watch.
Yeah, the major goals for this program are trying to help us get a handle on the distribution of the pikas in the gorge and also on their status. So there's been a lot of concern, obviously, after the Eagle Creek fire. It's crazy to think that it's now almost 8 years ago that fire happened. Time is weird, but
right.
Our program has been documenting the way that population has been recovering from that fire, and I'm really pleased to share that it seems like they are demonstrating to us that they're fairly resilient and they're coming back to a lot of those really severely burned places. So that's one of the big goals of the Cascades Pika Watch. Another big goal that we've started this year and last year is trying to get a handle on whether the population distribution might be changing kind of at the edges of their distribution. So we're looking really carefully at some of these sites right on the eastern and western edge of where we find pikas in the gorge, because if we're going to see, changes as a result of, for example, climate change or land use change, that's going to be where we see it first. And then obviously a third goal of our program is just trying to provide a great experience for local people to learn about this really cool species that lives in your backyard.
Yeah, that's right there, and it's something that people can go out and see. So let's talk about that. For people who want to go out and look for pikas, there's obviously the training they can take, but what are some big recommendations that you would have for being able to spot one out there?
Yeah, Well, if you participate in the trainings, we have a few in-person trainings at the Oregon Zoo in early May, and we have a training in the Gorge. And then the other thing that we have is an online training. But when you're trying to go look for them, you can see in these videos that they're really small. Imagine something about the size and shape of a potato that might be running around through that rock slide. And so a lot of times what you're going to do is look for motion. With binoculars. You might also listen for their characteristic calls. They make a little call that sounds like a squeak toy. And you might be able to see one sort of dashing around through the boulders. Pikas don't have an external tail, so they have a tailbone just like we do. But if you see something with a tail, it's probably going to be some kind of squirrel.
Okay, there we go. That's a good thing. So no tail. If it's a tail,
Right.
It's probably a squirrel. Okay.
Yep.
Good advice right there. For you, being involved in this, what is it about pikas, that makes you so passionate about being part of this?
Yeah, so I'm actually a pika biologist by training, and I did my PhD research out in the gorge from like 2011 to 2015. And I always say that there are good reasons and real reasons for getting involved in pika research. There's good reasons in the sense that I think that they're kind of an indicator species for climate change, so they can help us learn about how our local ecosystems are changing as a result in changes in temperature or precipitation or fire regime. But other real reasons for getting involved is that these animals are just adorable and they live in these really beautiful places. And so it's been a really fun opportunity to get to study them.
Yeah, I mean, all of the above right there. Yeah, I mean, and they are. I mean, come on, they're pretty adorable.
They're pretty, yeah. A lot of people think that they're the cutest mammal, so I'll just put that out there.
I could see that if there were a ranking, that definitely up in the top of the rankings. Well, for people who are going to go out there, that experience of going out and looking for pikas, you mentioned that just a little bit about how much you like to go out and do that too. What is it about that experience that is so invigorating to go out and look for pikas?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, if you like hiking and seeing pretty landscapes, then obviously the experience will be really great in that way. But on the other hand, getting to see these really cute animals and getting to see these animals that are like, telling us a lot about the way that the habitat is changing, I think can also be really special. And they're not hard to find, but they're, a little bit tricky in some ways. And that I think also is sort of special, feels really special when you do get to see one.
I love it. I mean, just add something else to the hike that you're already going to be, out there for, and
Exactly.
Getting a little bonus. I mean, that's fun. So real quick for everybody too, if they do see one, how is it that they report and get that information to you?
Yeah, so we have a couple of ways that people can participate. If you want to participate in the formal surveys, we have, a whole bunch of sites that we send people to monitor to, and you can choose which sites you want to go to based on what trail you want to hike. But to participate in that way, you do have to undergo the training. Like I said, we have some in-person trainings, and then we also have this online self-paced, do it whenever you have time kind of training. And that is basically an unlimited capacity. So literally anybody who wants to get involved, we have room for you. And once you get that, complete that training, we'll send you a map with a list of all the sites, and we'll also send you links to a data submission form. So we have folks do kind of a standard sitting survey. You don't actually have to sit, you can stand and walk, whatever you like. But then you'll report back with the GPS coordinate of where you did your survey, what you saw, what you heard, stuff like that. And then if you feel like the training is just a little bit too much and you aren't really sure you want to get involved in that way, we also have an app. There's an app called Pika Patrol. It's freely available right now on both Apple and Android platforms. And so literally anybody who has a mobile device can download the app, go anywhere you want. You don't have to go to one of our sites. In fact, you can report pikas using Pika Patrol even outside of the Pacific Northwest, if you're in Colorado or Montana, Idaho, et cetera. And that just has a really simple form. It automates collection of GPS data and date. You can upload pictures, you can upload videos, whatever you like. And that's another way to contribute data to this.
That's great. Lots of ways. I mean, this data must be pretty valuable, I would imagine, to be able to have that kind of collection.
Yeah, it is. It's super valuable. And, essentially what we're hoping volunteers can do is, multiply the number of places where we could be at any one time, because pika scientists can't be everywhere all at once. One other thing about the value of the data, like from the sitting surveys, those data are also actually going to the Gorge Commission, who are using the Cascades Pika Watch data as part of their vital signs indicator program. And this is the really special thing about this project. There are lots and lots of other pika participatory science projects across the range, which makes sense, right? Because they are adorable animals that live in beautiful places. And so if you were going to design an animal for a participatory science project like this, it would pretty much be the pika. But there's no other programs where the data being collected by volunteers is literally going into the hands of the people who make land management decisions about that area in the way that they are for this program. So that's another thing that I think makes the program really special, and also sort of highlights the importance of the data that are being collected by volunteers.
I love it. It's community out there, getting that data, getting it for multiple different purposes, and also, having a good time while you do it. So
yeah, exactly.
It seems like a kind of a win all around so far. Yeah.
We definitely think so.
Well, for everybody out there who wants more information, and obviously on the trainings that are coming up and everything else, what's the best place for them to go to?
Yeah, OregonZoo.org/pika. Is
nice
the webpage for the website. So, and if you even just Google Cascades Pika Watch, you'll find that as well. That's where you'll find places to sign up for any of the in-person trainings that we have coming up in a couple of weeks, or the online classroom training, which, like I said, is available all summer. It's self-paced. Do it when you want. Or if you want to just participate through the app, you don't even have to go through our project. You can just go straight to Pika Patrol in wherever you get your apps.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Yeah, I really appreciate it. This is fun, and happy to get this information out to everybody. Thanks, Doctor.
Thank you.
And for everybody watching, this is Fox 12 Now. You know what? We're going to take a break here, but I'm just going to go ahead and put on some pikas as we fade out of this. I'll talk to you soon. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.